Welcome back to another episode of Fed Up. I think we should call today Comatose Saturdays, but here we are. Thanks for joining us again for part two, guys. Again, for those folks that missed part one, could you just introduce yourselves, please?
CJ.
Yanni.
We are in Augurium.
Yeah, not aquarium.
Yeah, no, not aquarium.
Yeah, no goldfish around. Oh, man. So, as we're all we clearly all look in the same condition today. So, this is going to be fun. Jumping in where we left off then in Septus Mysteria. Very, very heavily orchestrated song I comes across. Huge black metal influence as well. Again, I liked how it says in the press release about the chunky feel. And I definitely hear that, like the meatiness in it, the riffs with those orchestral elements. And again, I think it's another beautiful example of, when you take that kind of orchestral classic sound and merge it with something brutal, it just really flows very well. I know there's a lot of people outside of metal probably, wouldn't think that, but it does. There's something about it, isn't there? Yeah. So I just wondered, before we get into the lyrics, how long did it take creating that song?
So that was actually the second song we wrote for the album.
Right.
So again, there's a little bit of the old style elements with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it took us that long. I think, I don't know, maybe a week or two to actually write it. But again, we had our version, like me and Logan had the version of that song and Sanguine before Yanni and everyone else came into the fold. And then it completely changed as soon as there was actual drums on it, the bass and the vocals. I think the vocals were the very last thing added to that, but it completely changed the feel of it.
Yeah, that goes with, all of them. I feel like once, because Logan programmed the drums into each song as a demo version.
Yeah.
And then once Taylor actually drummed on it, it was totally different because he was putting in fills and things that we didn't necessarily know were going to be in there.
Yeah.
Like, best drummer in Western Canada.
There was some vocals that I wouldn't put down. For Sanguine, for example, I had we wrote and I recorded a version of that one.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so he actually went into a studio for his. There wasn't really an audition because I've known this guy for so long. I know what he's capable of. But he actually went into the studio with another producer and recorded Sanguine, and that version is completely different. He went full bore corpse grinder, old school Cannibal Corpse.
Oh wow!
Compared to the way it is now, it's completely different. But I totally forgot about that.
More so for Logan because I I'd never met him before that, so I just wanted to throw it down and showcase what it might sound for this project.
Yeah. It's here's what I can do. I am fascinated by the lyrical concept and themes here, because you focus on what is deep in the ocean, the beauty, as it says, the beauty and knowledge, and yet the human race can do nothing but destroy it and harvest its riches. Now, the ocean, it fascinates me. There is a band due to appear on this show in late September. They're from Austria, a death metal band. And all their music is based on the depths of the ocean, the mysteries of the unknown, etc. But I find it intriguing because, we have the whole UFO phenomenon. But now there's the USOs as well, and it's is there mysterious creatures down there right at the bottom? People on about the giant squids that are so far down there, and could be other things we don't know about. And I've always found that intriguing. So hearing that was the basis for your music, that really grabbed me because I thought, man, yeah, totally. Because there's all this focus on going to other planets, etc., which looks likely with what we're doing to Earth. But yet we don't know what is down there, because we cannot get right to those depths at the moment. So no one knows, and it's got that darkness to it as well. So there's the horror combined. So I just wondered, is this something that you were personally interested in yourselves, and then the obvious with us as human beings, that we just keep on destroying pretty much our natural resources and things of beauty?
Yeah, I just don't know why we tend to go the harvesting route rather than like using science and industrialization for the right purposes, like harvesting like nuclear energy, for example, rather than like fossil fuels and stuff. Like there's already technology that we know about that is more like profitable and energy efficient, yet there are certain groups out there that choose to go the opposite route because they're like profiting off of it for as long as possible.
Yes.
And the ocean to me like describes the beauty of like what could be like the infinite horizon of as a human race we could be if we just got out of that rut. Like I hope we do.
Yeah, that's the challenge. I hope it's not a case of, it's too late. I know it kind of could veer off into climate change here, and with what we're seeing happening with all the extreme heat and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. You could make an argument for it's happening, but let's hope it doesn't get to the point where it's like one of those movies where, like, damn man, right? We got the backup base on Mars because we really need to go there,
Yeah. Not to take away from what we're currently talking about, but you said an Australian band. Which one?
Austrian.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said Australian. I was gonna say I know one that's called Cryptic Abyss.
And yes, I know.
Oh yeah. So there we go.
Yeah.
Back to the point.
Sorry, man.
I wonder if he knows Calvin.
No, not them. Them I don't. You'll have to tell me on them for sure, man.
Yeah.
But that's what I like, man. When I hear a band, especially on the brutal and extreme side, when I think I was maybe saying this in part one, when they do something a little bit different, it really gets me hyped up and amped up, man, because I'm like, oh man, yeah. It's not that I'm not against doing the usual horror, death, destruction, and all of those themes, but when you come across something that's a little bit different, that's intriguing. I'm like, man, yeah, this grabs me now. There's now we're live. I forget again. There's a brutal death band who do all their songs like about the samurai and omni demons. Oh man, they're pretty brutal as well. If I remember, I'll throw them over.
Like I'm the kind of person who like sits in my room sometimes for hours, sometimes days at a time, like listening to YouTube videos about ancient history and mythology. So like going into this album, I wanted to like kind of take all that time that I wasted and put it into something that maybe like makes it worth it.
Yeah, but you know what, man? I'm the same. I love those kind of shows. There's just something about them because it's like that mystery of the past. Because people, we there's so much evidence there, and then there's the postulation, what did happen, because we maybe might not have any data about this civilization or something, finding lost artifacts, all that good stuff. So that I can totally relate to what you're saying there. But if you think as well, that's good because that can reach people like us that have that interest, and then those who maybe have not gone quite into the extreme ends of metal before. I'm like, okay, are you interested in ancient history, mysteries, etc.? Yeah. Oh well, check this band out, man. Listen to this. So it's a good way of drawing those people in from outside the, if you like, the regular scenes. So yeah, that's pretty good, man. I'm getting excited.
Like we may not have, like, I can't speak for you, but not have the like kind of wherewithal or passion to be like a scientist or biologist or Egyptologist, archaeologist, anything like that. But maybe like it could be on those people's playlist.
Well, this is very true. And like another point I wanted to add to that regarding the different lyrical concepts and ideas. That's one aspect I really love that Yanni's brought to the fold, is there's like a bit of a diversity for every song. Whereas Unhallowed and the first EP, Omen, it was pretty straight up like either guts, gore, or something anti-religious, whereas this album is completely different. I love that aspect.
Yeah, exactly. It's always nice to step outside the box to do something different. Like like I said, I'm not saying I'm against those themes, and people they can get the wrong idea sometimes with extreme metal and extreme punk hardcore. And I always sell it like this to people. I guess I said, think of like a horror movie with a more brutal soundtrack. It's like theater. And that's the way I always put it. And I said, so if you leave your misconceptions and listen to the music, and then for the art as well, you'll get it. But injecting something different, man, that's always cool as well. I mean, hell, someone makes an album about ninjas fighting everything, I'll be like, oh man, I'm all over that. They could suck, and I'd still buy it. Be like, I'm going to support it just because it's got ninja on the cover. That'll do it for me, man.
I wouldn't even say we're taking away from what you guys were doing on Unhallowed Ascendance, but maybe even going further in that route to say, we're against the authoritarianism of the Roman Catholic Church, and therefore I'm going to go and study every religion, emerald tablets, Hermeticism, all of it, and see how they all fit together in a way. And there's similarities between every single religion of the world.
Well, I've always viewed it like this, and I'm probably going to upset people. Look, each to their own. What anyone wants to believe in is completely fine. You're okay with me, I'm okay with you. I don't care what background you're from, man. That's pretty much my rule for life. But I do believe in good and evil, and definitely spirituality. And I think everything has kind of like a root source. And it's all these branches that have come from that source, different interpretations, different, say, for that culture in that era of history, in that time. For what works there might not work in another part of the world. And I know, yes, we all know about the division, the war, and everything that's been carried out in the name of religion, and how they've used it as a tool, obviously, to suppress people and do some absolutely horrendous acts of genocide, etc., throughout history. I'm not denying that, but I think sometimes folks can forget it's always those who are in power in that position will use anything, faith, economics, anything, if it's like, right, I want that piece of land and I want that power, I want that. And okay, it's kind of changing now, whereas we're in the modern world since then. But that's always like one of the reasoning behind it is that, lust for, right, how can I demonize, say, these other people that don't quite follow our path, even though there's some similarities there. So
exactly.
And I think as you're looking at those different avenues, that keeps an open mind, because not enough people now will just take one opinion. I always say, if you're reading, still read something that you disagree with, because then you're not just down one tunnel of thinking. And that can be the same for music. You guys, as I was saying the other night, are drawn in those different influences. And I'm not kissing your ass here, but you're drawn in those different sounds, using those different methods to do something a bit different. And that's not a bad thing at all. I'm not saying, oh yeah, if you just want to stay in, horror, gore, etc., there's nothing wrong with that. Hell, Vulvectomy, Ingested, plenty of bands, all of like that. But again, it's nice to be open as well and add a different flavor every now and then.
Yeah. I could see us maybe reverting back to that in a future song or project at some point to change it.
We got a little bit.
Yeah, why not? Do a bit of everything. Yeah.
It divides people from unity and understanding, and like tries to deceive people so they can take advantage of them. We're trying to make music that exposes and dispels that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. Don't worry. I've had worse happen There's one dude talking. There's one dude talking to us, and his cat jumped on him literally as he was talking. And like to say that the Aussie friend of ours who was sat there really early in the morning, and there was parrots, dogs, cats, coffees coming in the background. So don't worry about it, man. It's it's live. We're indie.
Bring the dog in here.
Yeah, that's the dogger question.
Yeah.
Pretty well behaved.
Yeah.
You have to put him in the kennel for trying to eat him.
Yeah, he's a good boy, but he's literally a food slut. So like, and you happen to rustle something, he'll run, and it's gotten to a point where like he's right up at your fucking face, like almost up your ass when you're trying to eat. So we just put him in the kennel while we eat, and we let him out.
Last night they gave him a full turkey neck.
Oh, God.
And he like deep throated that shit
straight up.
Whoa, God, wow. So is it?
Afterwards, he's just like laying down, like bags under his eyes, like.
I wish I'd eaten that.
Straight up.
Oh man, well that's funny, man. Never-ending hunger. I remember once. I mean, when we did this old with my co-host who comes on sometimes here. We were on an old Shoutcast stream one time. We were interviewing this hip hop MC, and the guy was pretty rock star, to be honest. But we said we'll continue the show. And my friend has this habit of, those people who think that at times, sometimes like the whispering quiet and subtly, but they're not. And I think his girlfriend was with him or something at the time. Yes. And this guy, he hadn't muted his mic either, and all you could hear in the background was like, "Jeez, what an asshole!" and I'm like, yeah. And I sat there, and I'm just like pretending nothing has happened and continuing the interview. Oh, so when did this happen? And you're just hearing these crisps being eaten in the background, his potato chips in the background, and him with his commentary. And I'm just like, dude, the guy's awkward enough. This is just gonna. Yeah. So that was a train wreck.
No shit, man. No shit.
He's like, what?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, I was like, there's some background interference. Technical difficulties.
Anyways.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that was one to remember for sure.
Yeah.
So moving on.
He was too Hollywood.
Yeah. Wait, yes. I mean, you get people like that, man, and I just that's something they need to work on, isn't it? I as I was saying the other night, I'm the same. I'm the same in real life. If I was bumped into you guys, I'll talk to you the same. Of course, I'm interested in what you do and everything, but I try and treat the show as real and organic as it can be, and people seem to like it, so that's what we're going with. So moving on to the title track, Unearthly Will. Again, it's getting back to being a little bit more melodic, quite harmonious. You've got the tremolo notes sort of synchronizing with the orchestra as well. So, before we go into the lyrics, is this kind of is it maybe one of those possibly more atmospheric songs with a little bit more maybe expression in with them, kind of an unintentional interlude, and I don't mean that in a rude way.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely an interesting way to perceive it. I would definitely say unintentional for sure. Yeah, that's a really interesting way of taking it, huh?
I really like that song. Like for that one, it's one of the most like easy listening ones for me. It just makes me feel this one. I like that it's the title track.
Yeah. I was trying to be delicate because that's what I heard, and I thought I want to phrase this rightly without them thinking I'm insulting your music or the band there. That's
you're good.
Like maybe Unearthly Will is like the quote unquote happiest song on the album, while Invictus might be our most sad and depressing one.
Yeah, it's a good title though. So I guess this could come into the lyrics as well. You know, acceptance of disconnection between yourselves, hateful aspects of humanity. So was all those elements what we were chatting about a couple of minutes ago? Like the division we've seen through religion, you know, politics, war, someone always wanting to divide us instead of having us united together. And again, I'm not attacking anyone's faith. If anyone tunes in, that's not what I'm saying. So is that what inspired the title for Unearthly Will, or is just something you come up together with?
Well, like Yanni will have a bit of a better take on it than I will, but my own take on what it means is it's essentially it's each person's own perception of it. So it's not necessarily a solid guideline, like this is what it means. Like it's just because we say this is our take on it, that's not what it is. Like any listener can look at that title and think like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. That's my take on it because it has a different meaning to me than it might to you.
The song used to be called Taco Bell Breakdown.
Yeah. Dude, we don't even need to talk about the pre-production titles. You don't want to know.
That's the tamest one.
That's the PG one. You don't want to. I'm trying not to curse on here, but Jesus.
Yeah. You maybe give me the raw version later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's my take.
I'm kind of looking back at the lyrics here just to look at specifically what I was trying to talk about in the subtext. And what I'm getting from it is that like it's going through a dark time in a mind of like depression and like trying to use that to like create a portal in the mind. One of the lyrics is creating portals in the mind as towards like turning that pain into power and, you know, like feeling that fear and like adrenaline going through your system. But like in a way, like when you have adrenaline and you know that stress going through your system, even when you're working out, like it makes you stronger. So,
it does.
So I just like try to like reconcile the fact that like if I'm going through that, then like every bit of pain I'm going through, I just have to remind myself that it's actually gaining. You know, to not give up because that pain is turning into like creating the foundation for the growth coming later on.
Yeah, that is man, that's fascinating as well because it's like, you know, I think we were on about this in part one as well. If you're trapped in that depressive state, and it's almost like this has come up a lot and with a lot of guests actually, and you feel like you're kind of in a weird movie or like a strange theater play, and someone's controlling your strings, and you're like looking at yourself, thinking, I don't want to do this. How to get out of this? It's like there's someone, as if there's something or someone more or less is like playing with me, and yet I'm a witness to this. And it's like trying to find that way out of that despair as well. And what I thought was interesting in what you were saying, Yanni, is it's like that strength coming from it, like rebirth in a sense. And how am I going to turn this darkness into a positive? So can I turn this into a positive and use this in a good way? Like, okay, I'm feeling anger. I've got the anger there from it. So how can I feel this? Right. I'm going to put this into the music. I'm going to write this song. I'm going to play this song. Or if it's a case of, right, I'm going to stick to this routine. I'm going to work out, blah, you know, whatever it is. So that was, I thought, really on point. A very good answer as well, man. And I definitely a lot in there I think we can definitely relate to. And it's something I think we need to remember as well when we're all in those dark times thinking, how can I get out of this? It's like, okay, so how can I turn that into a positive? How can I use it in a positive way? And I think that's why I'm purposely going to promote extreme metal here. Perfect segue. But I think there was a study, and I think I'm sure someone can tell us who did it and where and everything. But like that extreme metalheads are actually very, very happy and well balanced because we're getting all of those emotions and experiences out in a positive way. Like me and myself, grindcore, hardcore, brutal death, etc. has really helped. It's really helped me. It gets me hyper. It gets the energy up, and then it gets me determined, thinking, okay, I'm not just going to sit here wallowing in grief. I'm going to get motivated again. And people that they wouldn't have that, and it doesn't quite. I'm not saying I'm against all happy music, but it doesn't quite have the same effect. It more has the effect on putting me to sleep, actually, which is good if you suffer from insomnia. But yeah, so definitely good ones.
Sure. And if anybody is listening to this live stream or after right now, and you're going through this, just all I can say is just hold on. Just think of your life in a more long-term aspect. Maybe do something that takes you. Just get up and do something, and don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, totally right. Whatever it is, anything, music, working out, reading, get something that can keep your mind busy and try and get you going again for sure.
Or start vaping.
Wow. I said we're not promoting any illicit bad substance.
No, I'm not. Well, sorry, I'm a bad influence.
Yeah, well,
shit, I'm drinking beer, you're drinking coffee, he's drinking water. We're not good role models here. Well, at least I'm not.
Recovery day. So
hair of the dog, my guy. Hair of the dog.
Yeah, man, for real. Well, let's say it like this. This is again, I'll repackage it for you. You could say those other alternative substances are gateways to alternative realities, to follow the path of our ancestors, to talk with the spirits, etc. And yeah, doing that when somebody thinking you've done too much DMT. No, I haven't actually, but yeah. Going to that. Oh man. I find all that stuff interesting though, going on subject when there's people have talked about like psychedelics and all of that gets me as well, man. That's all fascinating. Anyway, before I start nerding off in another area, man, now
that for a long time.
Yeah.
Logan's not here. Logan's our little psychedelic knots. So
he's sick.
He would talk your ear off for an hour about it.
Yeah, my co-host too. He's definitely 420 for sure. Yeah. But it's like who's that dude who did the documentary on Netflix recently? Is it Nick Hancock, where they were looking at, I think it was Ancient Apocalypse or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite interested. He's on Joe Rogan a lot, and that guy, I think, does a lot of psychedelics as well. And he come out with a quote, something like, anyone who wants to become president or prime minister should do a certain amount of psychedelics first. Yeah, to make sure they're super, super chill. I thought it wouldn't be a bad thing in that aspect. So.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I've had lots of good experiences on it. I know that you can have bad trips, and I'm not, telling anybody that it's going to cure anything, but there have definitely been studies and tests done in the past where they are using it for some therapeutic effects with professional help.
It's using it in the right way. It can be good, and it's like whatever works for you. If that is going to get you out of those dark times as well, we're all different. Some people might be physical exercise, then something creative, music. In a band like yourselves, writing, whatever works for you, then do that. That's not a bad thing, and it could be something you'd never thought of. I thought, oh man, this may be, I like poetry or something. Not that I'm a fan of it, but if it works for you, whatever. Just upset every poet on the planet now, but yeah, all good.
I wish he was here to talk about this. He's fucking sick.
Yeah, man. It's oh man. The show's pretty much following part one, isn't it? It's like there's a basis there, now it's going, but every show goes like that, man. But it's the 7th track, As Above, So Below musically. Right, I tell you why this also definitely got me with the themes, because you've got the theme of rebellion, which my punk side always digs that kind of stuff, rebellion against corruption as well. But what is interesting is it's the recognition of the current AI revolution, as it says in the press release. And I've actually put this question a lot to people on the show recently about AI. Do you think it's going to become like a threat to music because someone can like digitally plagiarize your voice, your riffs, and then go and pass it off and say, look, this has been released by this band or whatever. And I've had some interesting answers about it. So that track definitely caught my attention because I think AI used in the correct way, in the right way, can help us. So, man, I've just realized this is one hell of a loaded question. So before we get into the sound, Yanni, I'll put this one to you actually. What are your thoughts on AI in music? You know, do you think we're going to see a lot of bands potentially be ripped off by people, you know, and plagiarizing the voices and the instruments, or do you just think at the moment it's just too early to tell? We just have to see what happens.
Oh yeah, it's just the start of it. I think like it's like in the past few years, what I've seen of like the progression of it is that you can use it to write full songs. Use it to like it hasn't been able like, oh, you put the program in, it'll make a song or make a video for you.
Yeah,
it can definitely like put the like building blocks in. I think like even we were playing around with AI for like some visual aspects and for even some lyric writing, and we didn't end up doing any of it. I don't talk to AI or chat GPT. I'm kind of freaked out by the whole thing because I watched like The Matrix has been my favorite movie since I was
yeah, it's a classic, man.
Like it could get to a point where it's indistinguishable from any other human that you're walking around and talking to. Like you can type it and it feels like you're having a real conversation with someone, but I don't know what, like it just obfuscates what we think of what the human soul is, because music has a lot to do with soul. And how can you tell whether music has soul in it or not? How can you tell when someone is human whether they're not human? And are we human? Like maybe this is all a computer program as far as we know.
Oh, I know what you're referencing. Yeah, the computer simulation theory. Well, it's super interesting, man, because there's been a lot of people have been going into some MMO games and have been talking to the NPCs and saying, "Do you know you're an actually AI character?" And some of the stuff has been quite some interesting answers. And there's been other ongoing studies recently where they've talked to what was the one that come out from Google, and it was sentient, and they were kind of trying to deny it. I know people think it's going to be conspiracy theory, but hey, I keep an open mind with stuff, and I read and watch so many different things. And some of the answers, like one is kind of like, oh, no, I will help humans. And then the other is like something out of a sci-fi movie where it's like, no, I'm going to find a way to destroy you all and kill you all. And you're like, that sounds pleasant. Yay. But it's good for a writing basis as well, because it opens up that like that sci-fi horror aspect and the question of, look, how is this going to progress in the future? How is this going to affect music? We've got the strike on in movies at the moment, and people, and Hollywood's worried about AI as well. So that really, really did grab me. And then the themes of rebellion against corruption, and then the music that is on top of that flows very nicely with it. You've got quite a good mix there. Certainly some real heavy, sick riffs, and it's quite a beautiful pairing, but with a very, I feel a very aware and subtle message on what could become a problem. We don't know yet. So,
well, the song is called "As Above, So Below." So, I just want to look at it as much harm it can cause. Hopefully, it just has the equal amount of benefits, and it's just like the expanding of the human collective consciousness as a whole. So we can hope for, at least.
Yeah. I've always said this to some friends as well. Could you imagine it, man? One day we have like a cyborg or something, and it's sat there, on TV, and it's sentient, and it says, right, I'm alive, and then you can imagine people arguing over trying to recognize its existence. And I thought, man, that is something that's going to have to be done in the right way, because say it could be technologically superior to us, or it's got the means of doing that. It's got to be handled in the right way. It's literally like one of these sci-fi movies then coming to life. I'm just nerding and being random.
Yeah.
So getting back to the music for a moment.
We're not robots right now. This skin is just like a piece of technology.
Let's just start shooting robots and see which one looks out at us.
Yeah. There's
what was that, iRobot or something? I can't remember what that bloody.
Oh yeah, God, yeah, with the dude, he comes back. Oh yeah, I remember that. And he was at the end, and he was like stood, and they're all come out.
Yeah.
Or something, wasn't there? And it's like, yeah. It was quite a good scene, that as well.
Most people don't know in that movie, Will Smith was actually an AI. No,
I was gonna say, like, what the hell?
You had me for a second, then I thought, really, man. There was another series. I don't know if it might have been a British one, and I think it was set in the near future where people had like these AI robots doing housework for them and everything, and we were kind of treating them like slaves. And then of course they rose up against all of us, and then you've got like the I guess like a cyborg underground, and that was it. It wasn't too bad, actually. I think it might have been called Humans, possibly. That might have been it. And it was interesting, man, because they were using the cyborgs for not just like domestic duties. I mean, they had some really like nasty, grimy stuff where there was brothels full of these things as well, and there was really like creepy, pervy dudes going in there, and I'm just like, God, that could happen so easily. Yeah, there'd be a market there for someone.
What would use it for?
Well, yeah, you're gonna have all the aspects of like, assisting in normal healthy duties or with life, but then you're gonna have those perverse aspects as well.
Yeah.
You're gonna get every side of the bloody coin with that.
Yeah.
People say that virtual reality is gonna get so good. Well, not good, but so like advanced that people won't go outside anymore at all.
Well, I mean, I recently saw something where I don't know how the hell they're projecting it, but it's like a photo of you or something, and then it's synced up with your lip and eye movement, and like your whole body,
like a deep fake.
Yeah, essentially that. But you can choose a photo of yourself, and it essentially animates it, and you can interact with people like that.
Whoa.
Well, I mean,
the sentient nipple or something.
Yeah, there you go. Sentient nipple.
The jiggle animatronics.
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to overtake the universe with my nipple army.
Now I'm just going to associate with robot tits or AI tits. Fuck.
We're going to announce that on every date on tour.
Hey, it's better. Okay, like, again, it's not relevant to this song, but it's relevant to Ancient Grimoire. Midway through the song where it's just orchestration, Logan wants to talk about horse dicks or some stupid dick fact.
He keeps saying it at jam.
I'm not going to let him do it.
And I'm like, are you really?
No, because like we play the set as if we're playing it live when we rehearse. Yeah. So during the opening, we've got like a 2-minute instrumental intro. They're shooting the shit about dick facts, and then every time that bloody song comes on, he says something about like a penis fact every time.
No, he's like, I'm not even gonna repeat.
No.
Yeah. It's all right. It's
also on YouTube, so we got to watch what we say to a degree.
Yeah.
We'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
It's always a case as well, especially if you're in the middle of if that happens live as well. It's like, we're live, keep it together, gonna focus on, gonna start laughing, and people are gonna think, why is he all of a sudden laughing halfway through his songs?
I just feel like during that part, I'm gonna look over at him and he's like physically like face red, like, trying not to see it.
Yeah.
If anything, we call him Seth Logan because he looks like Seth Rogen and he laughs like Seth Rogen. I'm just gonna get him to do his laugh like yeah, something like that. No horse dick facts.
I thought it was a sample at the start, and then
Yeah,
it was
absolutely
incredibly brutal riff time. Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. I love stuff like that as well because it can be quite funny in the comedy aspect when you get a lot of hardcore grind and slam bands do that as well, and there'll be a sample from a movie. Yeah, it's like just 10 seconds, or there's like two guys talking to something, and then you're thinking, where the hell's this going? And then it's just something so random and funny, and then of course it starts. Hilarious. Yeah. So coming up to the last track, Invictus. This is, to me, this was like, again, it had that atmosphere. It was definitely very visually stimulating. It's like that close to the album, which I feel has been like very, very cinematic as well. And particularly the way some of those chords come in. And it just seems to have this this sense of, I guess, like a foreboding atmosphere, like an arrival of something, even though it's like even though it's the close to the album. So I'm just curious, how did you construct that song? How long did it take you? And then, we can get into the lyrics as well.
So honestly, for that one, that's a full Logan one. From my understanding of it, it speaks, to me personally, it speaks very dark, despair, depression, just sad. Yeah. And the irony in it, or coincidence, whatever, Logan was going through a really tough period in his life at that time, and literally just weeps his emotions. I don't remember how long it took to write, but I know that's definitely the most emotionally expressive song, at least in my the album. And it's just dark, man. Like it's fun to play, but it's dark.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I can definitely feel that. Like,
yeah. That honestly, man, that's not all I have to do. But
I was talking on the phone with, like, when we were thinking about where to go lyrically with it. I was talking on the phone with him, like kind of trying to connect with him, like thinking about how like my issues like connect with his and stuff. So I tried to like make something that encapsulates the feeling in a proper way. And so like we're kind of going for like a DSBM route.
Almost.
Yeah, I definitely hear that.
And yeah, like a little bit of like Shrieking Whales in there.
Yeah.
Like Dark Throne or Zaster influence. And like not trying to veer off too far from some of the like feeling of the rest of the album. But that song is really special in that way of like confronting those shadows and demons and like trying to reconcile with them, and at the very least just put them out there, and maybe someone else is like going through that at the time, and it would like they could connect with it.
There's definitely that grit within the song. It's like, sometimes when we've been mentioning other areas of interest, but you can be watching like a movie and it's got like a quiet scene, but it can even have like a kind of melodic feel to it, but yet something haunting and powerful, and there's something really deep behind it. That really comes across in that song. Like there's a lot of emotion there. As I said, it lyrically, the info that I have, letting go of the past, become the person that you're meant to fulfill your true purpose. It really is powerful stuff, and hopefully that will inspire others, who listen to the song and read about it as well and think, well, yeah, look, a lot of us have gone through these things or are going through this. Not everyone is alone. There's a way out. And I know there's different themes on the album, which we've been chatting about on the two shows, but what's coming across to me is the whole album does have an underlying persistent theme of growth, rebirth, looking at your situation, where you can get moving forward and how you can get there and become who you want to be and who you're supposed to be. And there is, yes, there's obviously there's the brutality there, and that's awesome. That's great, enjoy it. But there's a lot of deep meaning with this album. And again, I'm not ego stroking. But it's particularly why it grabbed me, and I like saying something different. It's not, you haven't, and I'm not bashing your early work, I really aren't, but you can clearly tell that this is something where you've really invested a lot of labor in it, and there's that deep thought behind it, and that really comes across through the whole album.
Yeah, that song in particular, all of us after jamming it mentioned that it's hard to play. We get a heavy feeling after, but I'm glad that it's on the album.
Well, and like to tie into what you were saying there, I wholeheartedly agree on that. I think Unearthly Will as a whole is a huge statement to not only all of our own personal experiences, but also the rebirth of the band. A sense of maturity. It shows a sense of depth, and it shows dark or light. You know, there could be light and darkness. Essentially, when we first started writing everything, it was really dark for me and Logan in particular. And we, again, I've mentioned so many times in random interviews or even just to buddies in passing, I had doubts that this shit was even going to come out, you know. And the fact is everything we experienced throughout it, everything we put in, I want people to take from it their own perception, but also understand that like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Sorry, it's kind of hard to talk about, but like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and every member for this project dealt with the nastiest, the brutalest, the hardest, gut-wrenching shit. And I think that's why this album would express such a statement. And again, it's all perception based, right? Again, someone be like, oh, it's just death metal. But so much more than that. So much more.
I learned so much more about all these guys working with them on it. You know, I gained a greater like depth of other people from just making this. Like I felt like some things that I only go through by myself that, you know, like other people go through too. And it really was enlightening to know that.
It's real. That really shines through, as you rightly said, CJ. It is not just your standard death metal album, and this is why I enjoy talking to people such as yourselves. Even if it was from music, as I've said in part one, even from music I don't like, or something I wouldn't listen to myself, I will still talk to them because it's talking to people, and then hopefully those who watch this back or who watch live, like we were saying, they can hear that people have experienced similar things, where that comes from, and think, man, yeah, there's something. I'm not alone. These I can relate to this, and that's good from a music standpoint because it can also, as I said earlier, it adds that depth to your music. So people like, this isn't just a standard death metal, as you were saying, CJ. Then someone who may not have heard extreme metal before or is taking that first foray into it, they've started on the more mainstream lighter bands, that can encourage them to take that step forward. Or like you were saying, Yanni, someone who could even be a historian on one of these sites, who knows, they could be someone who likes death metal, who does that job, that's the music like we don't know, and they could come across that like, man, here's somebody who's singing about some of the, you know, the music also got these aspects to them, what I do in my job or emotions. So it's really broadening your reach and putting you out there. And I just find it fascinating talking with bands such as yourselves about all of these themes that goes into the music, because it's very interesting, and I hope other people too. And then I think, and I hope this happens as well, that people will, I'm going to sound like I'm being patronizing, and I'm not, but people will realize that extreme metal, we're not all good. Yes, we like heavy music, we play heavy music, but we're actually very nice people. We're not going to go around the streets like, yo, come here, I'm going to rip you apart. It's just music and it's art, and we do it in a way as well to get rid of that negativity, that whether you're in a band or you're in a pit headbanging, whatever, there's we're not horrible folks,
Yeah.
So, I was talking with CJ about this yesterday, and I completely agree. Like it's not about only us. Like it's about talking with you guys. It's about seeing the people at the shows, like reading the comments and like seeing what people think about it. It's about the community and everybody who connects with it, and that's why we make music.
Yeah, definitely, exactly. That's what it's definitely about. So I'm going to put you both on the spot and ask you a horrible question.
Sure.
I'd be thinking, why is he going to ask this? But yeah, somebody would say to me, so why didn't you ask him this question? You can tell I'm reluctant to even ask it.
I'm very perplexed. Let's go.
Yeah. Go on, I'll try and be enthusiastic. Puts on actor's performance. Loosen up. Here we go. What would be your favorite song or songs from the album, or are you equally proud of them all?
Do you want to answer that first or me? Because mine's gonna be a little bit loaded.
Favorite song? Shit.
Why?
I'm just gonna go with Phantom Parallax because I love that breakdown at the end.
Yeah.
I get like a transcendental feeling when just like that opening just keeps getting tremolo strung with like the emptiness in there. It's like the most simple shit ever. Yeah. But this, I don't know, it just hits me in a certain way.
That's the only simple part. The rest of that song is not simple at all. That song fucking hurts.
It's like just something about that just like gets the caveman part of my brain going.
Sounds like a phone vibrator.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I like that song because it feels like getting a notification.
Yeah. It's just me texting you, Yanni. It might be a fart message. That's all it is. Don't get too excited.
Yeah. Dropping a bomb of evil.
Yeah, absolutely. Fart voice message or something. Yeah, that's tough because like I love all of them.
Yeah.
But, I'll answer it in two different ways. My favorite is probably either Inquisition or Ancient Grimoire for their own reasons. My least favorite is probably Invictus. But that's just because it's just dark and
yeah.
I guess it depends on the standpoint. Like, are we just meaning as a whole? Or are we talking like as the people who play it? Like, it's a loaded question.
It is, yeah. So I asked it.
I think
you're supposed to say the least favorite song.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to. Yeah. I think Ancient Grim. That's probably my favorite. Like it's I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's like an anthem almost, like it hits every nail on the head. It has the cleans in it. It's got those moments where we can entice the crowd. And again, as we said in part one, if people know it, they can fucking sing with Yanni.
Yeah.
It's got the headbanging moments. It's got the blackie. It's got melody. It's got harmony. And it's just, it's the full fucking package. And I fucking love it. And I cannot wait to play it next week. So, yeah, Grimoire.
There's definitely a different energy when playing that one.
Yeah, like I feel like, honestly, I think that was the last one we wrote. I believe that was the last one.
Yeah,
I think that was the last one aside from like editing. So I think that was for this album. That was the peak, kind of like of our writing, as all of these individuals writing together for the first time, the new style coming together to fruition, and I think that's. God, I'm trying to say good words with this, but like
it's all right. We're all a little bit out of it.
Yeah, I just think it's just like that epic kind of thing, and it ties every aspect of the album together, and it has its own unique sound to it. that none of the songs have. So
yeah, I think we had a little bit of a writer's block writing the album at one point. Like there was a huge chunk where, you know, we were just sort of like taking in life and not necessarily like putting it down as much as I wish we were. But that was the first one that we all recorded together, like getting back into the swing of things. And then like after that song, like every song got done in like a timely fashion. Mm-hmm. So I like maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. That was like the first song of putting that big group of songs.
Yeah, together. I think that one and As Above So Below was where we all collectively came in. Whether it was just set like input on a section, or like even Yanni's a vocalist, but one of the riffs on As Above So Below he wrote, which is a cool little tidbit. But I think collectively that was our strong one. I think they're all strong. That's just me being a cocky prick. But I mean, like I gotta stroke the ego a little bit. I'm not one of those egotistical pricks. But
it was really hard to pick a like single. Like we had 3 singles for the album. It was like really hard to choose between them. But you know, there's a reason we chose them, and those are like our personal like ones that we think are above, you know, the rest of the album.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to sit there and say, you know, but look, no, man, I think the whole album sucks. You know, no, actually, funny, another random story here. Again, getting back to kind of the old former talk radio show days I did outside of YouTube with my co-host. We got this guy on. I'll be respectful. He's still cool with us and everything, and he was a really nice guy. And we had this indie film director come on, and we were asking him about the film and everything. We enjoy it, and we really did not expect the guy to essentially slate and tear apart his own work live on there. And he come on, he went, no, he said, I think they weren't his words. They were a lot better put, but he was kind of more or less saying words to this effect of, no, I think it sucks. I don't recommend you go and watch my film. And he wasn't joking either. And I remember
no reverse psychology.
Yeah, nervous. Yeah. And he was saying, look, this sucks. I wasn't proud of this. I wish we hadn't done this. And like the whole kind of interview turned into him kind of saying how he hated making the whole film, what was horrible, didn't like working with this person on set and the other. I was sat there and I was thinking, didn't expect that. But yeah,
for metal, like some people use like very like weird terminology for the songs. Like that riff was fucking gross.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe the guy was considering it was his own personal on-air diary or some shit. Or again, maybe it's reverse psychology. Maybe everyone's like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it was strange because I think he'd done like a comedy sci-fi film, and then there was a horror movie, and then there was another kind of like sci-fi. And this cat was cool because he built a lot of practical effects and used a lot of models and used all the camera and everything and it was pretty good what this guy had done on a really small budget, and there wasn't that many of them in the whole crew and cast. And I thought, I remember saying to him, I said, look, I think you've been a bit hard on yourself actually, because I don't think anyone's expecting to see some like Hollywood major epic here, because we know you haven't got like $5 million, but on this shoestring budget you've got, it really isn't that bad. But yeah, we must have just caught him in the wrong mood that day. Maybe that was good. It was back in the day before we got on here, but now I've said that, I'll end up with a guest in the future. I'll just be on here on camera and just say, oh, my album sucks. This is shit. I'll be like, okay, yeah. What do you think of it? Do you think it sucks? I'll be like if I do I tell him? Like, well, yeah, it does, but it might not have a good impact on him.
No.
Okay,
so I'm curious. I don't know if I asked you this on part 1. I think I didn't. I've forgotten already. Yeah, I've just made an idiot of myself. Have you started work on the next album yet? And is it going to follow kind of the same aspect withdrawn from real life experiences, or are you going all out, all like brutal, back to the old school on the next one?
So just wondering. Again, I'm gonna try not to phrase it like we're some, huge band, but without divulging too much of it, yeah. We may or may not be playing a new one. I'm gonna plug it, but we're actually playing with Signs of the Swarm in November.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
Nice.
We may or may not be playing another new one then. So I essentially what we're going to do is we're gonna grind out this album for a year or two, and we're gonna still write in the background because Logan is a writing machine. Like literally, dude, he just writes all the time, and that was like the one thing he asked when he joined the band. He's like, just let me write. I'm like, do it, man. I still have writer's block from fucking Unhallowed Descendants, so go for it. Yeah. Essentially, the route we're going, I would take, like, just for examples, the routes of Ancient Grimoire, Invictus, and what's another one? Anyways, stuff like that. It's gonna be in that kind of vein, but it's gonna be a lot more dark, and I don't think it's gonna be album. It's gonna be essentially we're gonna do multi parts, and it's gonna be kind of one big conceptual piece. And from what we're intending, it's gonna be very expressive, and it's probably gonna be a little bit more dark than Unearthly Will as it is, because we find writing the music is very therapeutic, and just from the concept that Yanni and Logan have been talking to me about, it's essentially going to be Woods of Ypres meets death metal.
Yeah, and interesting.
Yeah, it's again, without divulging too much, because it's still so early. Yeah, but that's what we're aiming for, is something along those lines.
Yeah, Logan was like last time he was over here at CJ's, he drove down from Saskatoon. He's like writing a new song right now, and like kind of picking away at it throughout the weeks and showing me what he has so far. And yeah, like, I already like just got some kind of rough ideas from what he showed me. He's asking me, what should I put here? Should I change this riff up, just stuff like that. So, well, we're just like picking away at it, and maybe we'll have it done for the next show. And I'm hoping to. I'm definitely gonna have to change the title. Like right now, the working title.
we're not talking about it.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
It's Born for Blank, and we're not gonna. I'm not
it
saying.
Rhymes.
Yeah, it rhymes with the first word.
It does, especially from a British and Australian perspective with a particular word. Well, you get that from us, kind of, yeah.
Oh, and I totally
Born for Corn.
Yeah,
I totally had a thing I was gonna say there too. Fuck, you totally threw me off. Yeah. Oh God. Nuggets. I can't.
Yeah, we're working on it. He's gonna write the breakdown for it.
Yeah. God, what the hell was I gonna say? Crap. It was adding on to what you. Come on, Yanni. Shame on you.
Just jump in when it comes back.
Carry on.
It happens to me all the time, and it's terrible if I'm asking a question or I think it's something I'm listening to an answer. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to follow up with this, asking this, and then I'll start, and then halfway through, it's just like my brain evaporates, and then it ejects on me, and then I'm like, and then so awesome when that happens.
It's gone. I lost it. Don't beat yourself up. I want you to sleep tonight.
I'm never gonna financially recover from this.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? Now is we could get into this. Is go for it, man. Go for it.
I guess the main point is writing Unearthly Will. It was quote unquote done in secret. Like no one knew what we were doing. I mean, no shit. People see me and Logan together. They associate us with Augurium. They knew something. But the most beautiful aspect of Unearthly Will's writing session was there was no deadline. Like there was no rush. We were able to flush it out within the time frame that we did, and that's kind of the same mentality that we want to go with on this next thing, whatever the hell we do. Like, God, it could be a fucking folk album. I don't know. Is we just don't want to rush into it, right? Because then it's gonna be shit. So yeah, that's all I had to say.
No.
Talked with Logan on the phone about the concept for it. I'm sure they've talked about it as well, but everything's kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah.
And, we'll take our time with it, make sure that it comes out right.
Yeah, but that's the best way as well, because it's natural. So then you can see what naturally comes to life, what is created from all of you, rather than putting that sense of pressure, right? We must have this done by this date, because then you're rushing and thinking, well, if we take our time, this could have been done better. And then we can see, like I said, what naturally happens. So you mentioned something, CJ, as well. What was hinting at, like the struggle with like finances, making these albums and getting out there on the road. So is that kind of the way to do it now, is to get out and play as much, try and sell the merc, offer people different possibilities in buying a merc, such as like vinyl versions, things like that? Because I thought now, especially with like, with the internet and digital tech and everything and all the streaming, I thought, especially for an underground band, it's like, I thought, God, it must be so hard to actually be able to sell your music.
Well, yes and no. So, like to me, obviously, the digital aspect we have to capitalize on as much as we can, just because that's the digital age, right? Like if we don't, how are we going to get our shit out, and how are we people to come to buy the physical stuff? You're not wrong, though. It absolutely is tough. Like we're not going to talk numbers for what we had to put to do this small tour, and even the album itself, like just the production of the discs. Again, we also went the DIY route, so recording it, production, mastering, that was all done in-house. So there was no expenses there for the most part. But getting all the merch, getting the actual physical discs, like we did it more on the low end, and even then it was a lot more than we anticipated.
Yeah.
But I would like to see vinyl, but we don't want to talk about how much that's going to cost just for like 100 of them. Like we're looking at a minimum of like 2,500 for 100 vinyls. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we still need a tour van.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're. It's kind of stupid how we're doing it, but we're taking my truck with all our gear up to Calgary, and we're meeting Reed there with Taylor's vehicle, which is the most reliable out of all of ours. We're grabbing a trailer, and that's how we're doing the tour, instead of a $10,000 tour van eventually. But yeah, you make it work.
Exactly, it's what works, man.
A lot of music is like, a lot of it is having money behind it. Like the artists at the very top, it signed to Universal Music Group and all of its labels below them. It's not like just one artist. Like Taylor Swift, for example, that's not just her doing everything. She's backed by a corporation and a company, pushing their style and agenda throughout, and they're doing it for a purpose. And so that's why some of those artists have so much success, is because they're being supported by that huge money. Like we can write and release our music on our own, but we're gonna have to,
at some point, we're gonna have to look for some form of backing.
Yeah, it's because you can only get so far on an independent budget as well. Again, this has come up a lot on shows recently, and it's nice, people would say, oh, like, I'd love to say to come over the UK or come over here. And it's like, well, we're going to need some backing, unless we're fortunate to have a great deal of finances behind us already, or the right people in those places. It's hard to do. Some people can be lucky, know the right folks, get cheap accommodation, cheap everything, blah blah blah. And that's great. But,
and to kind of speak on that, like I mean, like I've got a good deal of contacts, and so does our drummer Taylor. So I mean, we could do the DIY route and go overseas or go down to the States, and like not even to mention, since we dropped these singles, like I've had a lot of booking agents saying, "Oh, we'll get you over to Europe so you can support Godsmack and Evanescence," and I'm like, "Do you know who the fuck you're talking to, man?" Like, but it's tough. So I mean, I'd like to eventually go down a route, but only for the right circumstances and not fucking ourselves in the long run.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And also hopefully still maintaining that creative freedom as well.
Yeah.
Because people forget it's everything in indie media as a whole. You're limited by a budget. And it's like someone could say, "Oh, I saw this on TV. I saw this on Netflix. Oh, could you go and interview him?" I'm like, I'm not gonna, it's gonna, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll go and talk to my friend Gaz from wherever, and he's right up." It's like you said, you can only get so far with those finances behind you, and people forget just what it costs in one, hiring a studio, getting the production, the sound and everything right, then having a reliable tour vehicle, one that hopefully will last, and then the forgetting the whole other issue of this happens, and it's awful. How many times do we see bands where their equipment is stolen while they're on the road, and then it's like, "Oh yeah, we can just get another guitar." Not just like that, I can't. Or maybe get one from like a charity shop, a cheap old acoustic, but brutal acoustic car's maybe not going to cut it for the new.
I just hook it up to a Boss Distortion.
God, so like I know any band that might listen to this, because like again, as a metal listener, any music fan that doesn't incorporate into this musician lifestyle, like just for a kind of a clue into like our aspects, like our tour rigs alone, like Logan's rack right here, like this thing's like $7,000. Like that's just one piece of equipment, so there's you've got the studio costs, you've got the merch, you've got the PR, Asher, you've got the fuel, the promotions, like there's just so much that goes into it, and no one's gonna do it for free. That's yeah. It's expensive, but we're doing it because we love it.
Yeah, that's the reality. It's doing it for the love, but there's that cost there as well. That's why I'm a great believer in I'm hoping this show helps. It helps bands as well in strengthening the community, bringing us together. As I've said, it doesn't matter to me if someone wants to come on. I keep getting, the reason I'm bringing this up a lot is because I'm asked a lot. It's like, "Oh, does it matter if you like our music?" I'm like, no, not at all. It doesn't matter. I would still talk to you. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to like every single guest music that ever come on the show, because that's impossible. But it doesn't mean that I won't talk to them, that there will be things we have in common that we can respect, and it's getting it out there for the community as well. And it's like you said, it's like a dual-edged sword. This all helps for promotion and get us out there. Hell, we're talking on different sides of the ocean, and that's absolutely fantastic. So that's the real good side. And then there's the other where it's like, man, you can only get so far without this backing. And you were right, Yanni, like about Taylor Swift with all those people. It's the same those who work on TV, and I'm not bashing them for a minute, but they'll have all their own writers, everything pre-prepared for them, all their own marketing people and everything. And anyone who does anything like this now, you're kind of having to be so multifaceted, not just as a musician, but like, PR, marketing, etc. All of us, where these people have the whole team to do that. So it's changed so much, but I think the positive that can come from this is people can listen and hear what you're saying, what's behind the music, why you're doing it, really identify with that. It puts the human aspect across, and that really works so much more, makes it more personable. So hopefully then that strengthens the community and helps in the long run, and the band just continues to progress and rise. So
Thanks.
I know you. Oh no, you're welcome, man. Generally doing it for the right reasons. You guys really are. So I know you're located in different parts of Canada. Again, my geography could be a bit whack, so apologies if I've got this totally wrong. But it seems to be quite common now. Bands, all around the world, be either in different countries, even or in different parts. So, does that make it even more challenging with not being generally in the near location, or is it a case of you just schedule ahead and maybe you don't jam together as much, but you just agree a date for, say, this time or in the month or whatever?
I guess it depends on what aspect. So, like for us in particular, Augurium in the past, everyone would always be here, or like our furthest venture would be to Saskatoon, which is like 2.5 hours away where Logan is, and like I would be here, so that's our distance. But we would always get together every weekend kind of thing, and we could be more readily available for shows on any fly or on demand. I honestly found this aspect with the distance made us take whatever time we had to work together more seriously and less goofing around. Like we mess around and we're stupid.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice that we have to make. CJ and I are from Regina, Saskatchewan, and it's a very small city, and there's not too many dedicated musicians in this city, and if they are, they're already in like a few different bands. So we kind of have to look elsewhere, and I'm glad we did, because Reed and Taylor are, phenomenal and like just so valuable as, band members and friends. So like, yes, we do have to like, get Taylor a flight over here to play Sons of the Swarm. Yeah. We have to coordinate with our vehicles to make the tour happen, but what we get out of it is some really talented people we're working with, and kind of trying to get out of the box of Regina.
I hear you, and I'd imagine it's the same for any small city or small town. People are already in 5 or 6 bands, and sometimes it can be, I can't find anybody, say, that plays this style of music in that place as well. So that's another reason why having to look out there. But I think now, as you said, with the use of technology and planning ahead, it's nothing that really can't be overcome. I mean, hell, there's so many dudes now where they're even in different countries. So it can be done. Going a little off topic here. It's been a habit, hasn't it? But
until we get the AI drummer.
Yeah. Get the hologram there as well. Go full swing. Yeah, laptop car. The last EP, Omen, and you did drop in part 1, CJ, about growing up with that kind of horror. So I just wondered, what did you always enjoy about those movies, and are there any other horror movies that are particularly personal favorites?
Well, lots. So, God, there's so many. So, like, I get flack for it, but not the original Evil Dead, but it was a remake. I think it was 2013.
Oh, yeah, 2013.
Yeah. So that we actually, for a couple of the first shows, we used a couple of the samples from it for before the song. So that one's another huge favorite. But I mean, horror movies as a whole, I love them. Like I fall asleep to them. My girlfriend's a little bit of a wuss, and she'd be like, and I'm just like, there's not enough jump scares. This isn't doing anything for me. And like, just to go off topic with it, I personally think horror movies nowadays suck.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I haven't found a horror movie that's actually like enthralled me and made me like, holy shit, since like The Conjuring, like the original Conjuring that came out almost 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah, so like you can tell when a horror movie takes the world by storm in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't felt like that's happened in a while.
Yeah, so I always loved horror movies. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just weird like that. But no, like Evil Dead, and then a couple of more modern ones like The Insidious or The Conjuring. Always loved them, and like I don't know, Friday the 13th, stuff like that. All the 80s stuff.
Like Insidious?
Yeah, I like the first one.
Okay.
The other ones after that are kind of garbage, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. The horror concept as a whole, I've always been immersed like throughout my life with.
And escapism, isn't it?
What's that? Sorry.
It's like good. It's escapism, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's again a normie or whatever, a normal person that isn't into the same themes as we all are. Probably think we're a little weird or psycho for liking it, but it's relaxing. It's nice. I love it. You know, like I'm not implying I would go. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump you there. I'm not implying I would go and like, you know, throw blood on someone on walking down the street or something. But yeah,
I don't know if this counts. I really like the Aliens versus Predator.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's sci-fi horror. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Predators are better than Aliens though.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, well, there's a whole lore behind it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, honestly, you're the first person I've ever met that likes the Evil Dead remake. Yeah. I couldn't get into it at all, and I saw the sequel, you know, the recent one where it was set in the apartment building.
Yeah, that was okay.
Oh god, that sucked.
I honestly, I thought it was better than most stuff that's come out in the last couple of years, but it was very predictable. I love the horror aspect of it though.
I'll give it that. That was good, and I'll give it this. It's not the worst movie ever. I couldn't help. This is the thing with horror, and this will sound strange to people. I know there's horror comedy, which I think is fantastic. Yeah, and I love horror comedy. But even in, if you like, conventional horror where it's not supposed to be comedy, there's so many unintentional, hilarious moments, which is so stupid. And it can be the way the dialogue's delivered, like in the recent Evil Dead, you know, when there was some of I think it was when one of them got took over, but became a deadite, and she was knocking on the apartment door, and there was something like, dead by dawn. It was so crap, the way she delivered that line.
Even
but funny.
I can't remember word for word, but when she's in the bathtub and she's like, me sleeping with the fishes or something. I don't know exactly what she said, but like it made me crack up.
Yeah. And you find that it has these unintentional, hilarious moments, and people, like you said, can often be, how do you find that relaxing? Or how do you find your extreme music relaxing? What's got me through it, these struggles that we've been hinting at or talking about, when able throughout these two shows. Pro wrestling, again, because it's so over the top and hilarious. And yes, I know it's completely ridiculous, and especially in death matches, people throwing each other through barbed wire and all of this stuff. But it is just hilarious theater, and I love that stuff. So funny. Horror movies, for the same reason, there's just something I find, like you said, CJ, relaxing with them. I can't put into words why that isn't. And people think, oh, you must be a weirdo. You find that. I don't know. I think especially even, when with the suspense horror, and you see that a lot of the old school ones where you don't see anything or use the atmosphere. I'm like, man, that has me excited, and it grips me. And it doesn't have to be the best movie in the world, but it'll just like, I want to see how this plays out. And I know, like with them old school horrors, Friday the 13th, that has that, even that simple like
exactly.
Yeah. Jason can walk at the speed of light and still catch people, but it's sentencing.
Bands like, or not bands, but movies like Clockwork Orange and Eyes Wide Shut aren't really like gory, but they are really psychological.
Yeah, psychological.
Also, well, hell, in Clockwork Orange, when he's is it Malcolm McDowell, the actor, I think, and he's in the chair and they're like kind of reprogramming him and forcing to watch all this stuff. And but if you think that was really ahead of its time for that day, and then he was in that gang, and I think he was beating people up to Mozart, wasn't he? And I'm like, this is like really grimy, dystopian stuff when you look at it. But there's something. There's something about them which, I know some can be cheesy or so silly. It's like, why did, as we always say, why'd you leave that door open? Why aren't you running? This guy can be just walking and catches them. Yeah. And I remember I was chatting about horror with another band recently, and we were talking about some of even like the vintage horror that will show on TV. And yeah, they hardly had any budget then, so you can see the like the props, cardboard in a sense. But when the dudes are fighting, it was one of the old Dracula movies, and when I think it was like the guy who was playing Van Helsing and was fighting Dracula, I think it was Christopher Lee. Hell, they were chasing each other everywhere, and they really were fighting. I thought they probably had to do that more then to put that across, because they didn't have all of our technology and effects, and they were going all over. And it wasn't just a run out one smack. They were, they really put everything into it.
Yeah.
And man, I love all that stuff. There was another, and I can never remember this movie. It's possibly maybe a 90s or 2000s horror. And it's these people, they're trapped in like this church in a cemetery somewhere. And there's a ghoul kind of running around beneath the church in some tunnels. And it keeps popping up, kind of a bit like a ninja ghoul, attacking one of them. And yeah, they had a limited budget, but the effects, the way it was done, the atmosphere, even using the smoke effects, was so good. The lines, yes, were cheesy, but were intentionally hilarious. Were unintentionally hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I think it's something people can't get unless they're into that with horror. You don't have to think, well, how can you find that relaxing or that funny? I'm like, I just think it's just ridiculous theater. Crazy. What can you do with the imagination? We're going to do something so crazy or have something so sinister, and here you go.
Ones that hit me with the psychological and the gore were like the early 2000s, Hills Have Eyes, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the early 2000s too.
Yeah. There's been some a lot of indie films that are definitely like influenced by those. One I watched recently, actually, where this coach of tourists who I think they were on the way to Burning Man, that festival or something, and a coach broke down, and then they're attacked by this tribe of cannibals. And I was thinking, right, how are we going to get out of the bus? We've got to stop them from. Well, we don't want to get out of the bus, obviously. I'm sorry. How are we going to stop them from getting on the bus? We can't get out of here. Buses broke down. Yeah, interesting stuff for sure. So, Yanni, I'm babbling. What would be some of your favorites?
Oh, just like some of them, like I mentioned, the early 2000s Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like I probably don't watch as many as CJ or you, but like there's a few like over the years, like just trying to like remember them. But I watched this one a few years ago that I'd never forgot. It's called The Holy Mountain. It's not like a horror movie, but it's like it was made in the 70s. It kind of has a lot of psychedelic Illuminati imagery, and like there's like little to no dialogue in it, but it just has a lot of symbolism and imagery, and like it's hard to explain, but it really like felt like I was looking at something like that deep into Hollywood that they might not have promoted, but still the money was behind it and they made it like that.
Oh, interesting, man. I have to give you props for AVP as well. I preferred the first AVP movie. I thought that was pretty good. The second one, the first 20 minutes was okay, and then sadly it just completely fell off, and that could have been a great movie. But yeah, even though there was some ridiculous moments, such as, what was it in the first one? I think the Predator was kind of doing like an elbow drop on one of the xenomorphs, and then doing a classic wrestling move, swinging this thing around by its tail. Yeah. So it was like pro wrestling versus the xenomorphs in a way. But I did like the whole lore behind it as well. Them visiting us in the far past, and kind of that ties in with ancient aliens, I guess, and everything. So that I found intriguing.
It's like to that pyramid. They went to the pyramid in Antarctica.
Yeah.
And that was the plot in the movie. And then like some people are saying now that they've found pyramids in Antarctica.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how did they know about that,
Yeah, well, I mean, again, mystery is what we were saying about the song earlier, focusing on the deep, the ocean. They found that pyramid, I think it was in Bosnia or somewhere so many years ago. The whole speculation on what are those structures on Mars, which they say, no, this is just natural formations, as people, no, this was definitely created by somebody. all that stuff intrigues me, man. I can nerd about that for so long. Yeah, really is. I'm mentally tiring you, so I can see it on your faces. I will let you go in a moment. I can talk for the world, believe me. So where can I know the album is due for release very, very soon, actually, on the 25th. Yeah. So could you guys give a shout out for any upcoming shows, and also very importantly, where people can pre-order the album and where they can follow you as well? I will drop all these links in the description, but I want people to hear it too.
So, well, I mean, notably, it's unofficially our album release show, August 25th at the Astoria in Vancouver. We're playing with some pretty killer band, Hooker Spit.
Vistia.
Yeah, out of this, some melodic death metal band. They're actually about to go to Europe, which is insane. Actually, a couple of I think 3 of the shows are with Hooker Spit, I believe. We're very excited. I've been shooting the shit with Vlad and Daniel and all that stuff, so very excited.
Cryotic and Sal for Alberta.
Yeah, a couple of Cryotics. They're good buddies of ours from Saskatoon. They're doing the Alberta shows with us, and then a really killer black metal band called Cell from Manitoba is playing our home province shows. Now, digitally, I mean, obviously you can find our album that's up for pre-order right now up until the 25th, I believe. That's when they actually have to purchase it. But you can find it on our Bandcamp. We've got our general social medias that have all the music platform links. And then what we're intending for after the tour when we get back, we're going to be setting up some form of a web store where you can get all of our merch kind of on demand, and there'll be restocking of all physical copies. And I'm hoping to restock Omen, and we've got a couple Unhallowed discs left over, but yeah, generally just our Facebook and Instagram we're most active on, and you can find all our links and stuff right there.
Yeah, once it's actually out, we'd love to hear what you think about it, and could have a talk about it and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk to Gaz.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I would be up for that, because this probably is pretty obvious to anybody that's either watched or watches back later. A lot of the themes have really hit home with me. I love the mix of brutality with the samples and everything. That's why I just got so excited and went off on random tangents and nerding, but I was like, man, yeah, this is just awesome stuff. Hits all the barrels for me for sure. So yeah, I'd be glad to do that. You're both welcome. Well, the whole band are welcome on here anytime to promote any tours you've got, future music. Awesome. If I can help you in any way, just let me know and we'll set something up. Even if it's like, guys, we can only do 15 minutes today. We're on the road, but we want to shout this out for people. We'll do it. We'll set it up. Shout out to John from Asher Media as well as always for helping. Really appreciated. And shout out to Hooker Spit. I'm actually been talking with Dan in email, and hoping to get a date set with them to come on the show, which should be good. Be quite amusing talking about the album cover for that one. It's like that'll be one.
I'm so excited. I actually pre-ordered one of their muscle tees that has that artwork, and I get it next week. So.
That'll make an opener for the show.
As long as I get it before that first show, I intend to wear it for our first show back. So
I love this interview. We gotta send you some merch.
Yeah, man. We'll link up some details after this, and we'll definitely send something your way.
Yeah, I love bands sometimes as well who have those ridiculous names. It's just hilarious. And you get loads of the power violence bands like that, wasn't there? Ex Henry Fonda X and all of these other ridiculous ones. I don't even think they're active. They were a power violence band from Germany, and I've even seen one was the crossover one, Rambo something. God, there's so many, man. I've even seen stuff like there's a dude, I don't know if this guy's still around, and I think he was called Bottle of, and I'm gonna have to be careful now, so I'll just spell it Bottle of PISS. And he's from Texas. I'll do my best to try and describe this. someone might say noisecore. He played actual real kind of objects, his instruments, whilst he was kind of doing, I guess, grindcore vocals. And then at the end of that said set, he would just destroy everything. And I thought, and people are paying to see this. It's hilarious to watch.
Yeah.
But actually paying to see it, that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, all power to him, you know.
I mean, I'd probably pay to see that. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Dude, like there's like it's a noise show. There's like 10 people there watching this guy on like a picnic table, like rubbing an outboard against like a frying pan. He's like going hard, like rubbing it. Like people like came to this, and it's good.
It's art. It's an expression.
Exactly. Yeah, it still is. It's a whole all the way, I guess, that whole kind of street kind of performance, I suppose, subgenre of it. I'm sure there's a whole scene and official name for it. Someone will know. Anyway, y'all, I shall be back possibly tomorrow with possibly pre-recorded episode with a metal dude from Iran, working on the details on that. And we are live pretty much every day next week. So don't forget, follow, support, subscribe, get at me if you want to come on the show. Please support Augurium as well, not Aquarium, Augurium, and definitely hit them up, go to those shows and pre-order the merch, support Brutal Music as well. And I look forward to having them on the show, well, pretty much whenever they want. And should see you all soon. And thanks again to CJ and Yanni, of course, and for tolerating my endless verbal diarrhea.
Well, thanks for having us, man.
Keep in touch.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Okay, folks, we'll see you on the next episode, and peace out for now, y'all.